I can't stand Ice Cube.
That's crazy.
I'm not a fan of him lyrically or acting wise.
Ice Cube's in the building. Yay. What's happening?
What's happening with you, man?
Hey,
Who is this?
Aries Spears.
Oh, that dude?
Yeah. He said nothing.
Is he a comedian?
Yeah.
You know you messed up when Ice Cube, Mr. No Vaseline himself, takes time out of his billionaire schedule just to clown you. Because he doesn't do that often. He doesn't need to. When you've ghostwritten NWA's biggest hits, launched a billion-dollar film franchise, and created your own basketball league, you usually let your resume speak for itself. But when Aries Spears opened his mouth on Big Boy's Neighborhood, the whole room changed. It started off like any casual conversation, ranking rappers, sharing opinions. Then Aries did what Aries always seems to do lately. He went rogue. The name Ice Cube came up. And without flinching, Aries said, "I can't stand Ice Cube." That sentence alone would have been enough to stir drama. But Aries didn't stop there. He said Ice Cube was trash, both as a rapper and an actor. He mocked Cube's most iconic song, "Today Was a Good Day," said it made him want to shoot the radio, and followed that with an awkward impersonation that made everyone in the room go silent. The disrespect wasn't just loud, it was calculated. And that's what made Ice Cube respond. Because Cube doesn't argue with irrelevant people, unless they beg for it. So when Ice Cube publicly clowned Aries Spears, everyone knew. This wasn't just about music anymore. It was about legacy. Aries Spears didn't just share an opinion. He detonated a grenade. On one of the biggest hip-hop radio shows in the country, he dismissed Ice Cube's entire career in one breath. "He's trash," Aries said, straight-faced, as if he didn't just step into a war zone of cultural backlash. The host tried to brush it off. They laughed nervously, tried to pivot, but Aries doubled down. He said Cube had no lyrical skill, that his acting was one-dimensional, that even Cube's most beloved record, "Today Was a Good Day," was one of the worst songs ever made. Then with the cameras still rolling, he slipped into an impersonation of Ice Cube as a gynecologist, a bit so weird and cringeworthy that everyone at the table froze. One co-host even said, "That's racist," without even knowing why. It was just off and not funny. The segment spiraled. What started as a discussion about favorite rappers turned into a public meltdown, with Aries taking jabs at legends who built hip-hop from the ground up. The weird part? He seemed to know what he was doing. At one point, he stared right into the camera and said, "Watch the comments." He knew this would blow up, and for once, it did. What Aries Spears didn't account for is who he was talking about. Ice Cube isn't just a rapper, he's a cultural pillar. This is the same man who co-wrote Straight Outta Compton, created Friday, and built an entire professional basketball league from scratch. His diss track, "No Vaseline," is still ranked among the greatest in hip-hop history. When Cube speaks, he speaks from decades of dominance. So when Ice Cube responded to Aries Spears, he didn't need to shout. He didn't even seem mad. He just questioned whether Aries was even funny. "I don't know if he a comedian," Cube said with a smirk. "He never made me laugh. No raised voice, no disrespectful bars, just subtle demolition." And that was the part that hurt, because it didn't sound like a diss. It sounded like Cube genuinely didn't care, like Aries wasn't even worth beefing with. That's what made it sting. And online, fans instantly took sides. Not because of who shouted louder, but because of who actually mattered. One had a global legacy. The other had impersonations on Mad TV. In this moment, the contrast was brutal. Cube is still shaping the culture. Aries Spears is ranting into microphones. The power imbalance was undeniable, but somehow it got worse. You'd think after two legends roasted him, Aries might fall back, reflect, maybe even apologize. But nah, he doubled down. He went straight back to Vlad TV, looking visibly irritated, ready to explain himself, or at least try. Aries claimed it was just an opinion, that he didn't hate Ice Cube. He just wasn't a fan of his artistry. He said he respected Cube as a man, as a pioneer, just not as a rapper or an actor. But here's the contradiction. How can you say you respect someone's impact while calling everything they've ever done trash? It didn't add up, and fans noticed, because when the smoke came back, Aries tried to flip the whole narrative. Suddenly, he wasn't the aggressor. He was the victim. He said the world had turned him into the poster child for hate. He asked, "Why can't I have an opinion?" And that's the problem. Aries didn't just have an opinion. He mocked, insulted, and doubled down with arrogance. Then when the backlash hit, he acted shocked. That kind of flip-flop isn't honesty, it's deflection. And it made people tune out fast. Because if you're going to throw fire, don't cry when you get burned. Here's the thing about trying to go viral by attacking legends. It invites people to look deeper. And Aries Spears has skeletons. The moment his name hit the headlines again, people brought up something he probably hoped the internet had forgotten. The 2022 lawsuit involving him and comedian Tiffany Haddish. The lawsuit accused both of them of disturbing behavior in a so-called comedy sketch that featured a child being left alone with a character played by Aries. The skit was bizarre, uncomfortable, and widely condemned. Even though the case was later settled and the video scrubbed from most platforms, the damage stuck. People weren't just mad at the content. They were disgusted that Aries called it comedy. When the backlash hit, Tiffany distanced herself. Aries, he went back to Vlad again, shrugged it off, made jokes, played it like it was no big deal. But now with his name trending for beef, that case resurfaced like a ghost. The court of public opinion doesn't forget, and fans weren't having it. They commented things like, "This dude disrespected Ice Cube and thinks we forgot that skit." The internet didn't forget. It never does. And now every time Aries speaks, people remember that stain. Even when he tries to defend himself, that shadow follows him.